Hey, everybody. I am Haley Gray, and I am the founder of the Women's Entrepreneur Network. And we are here today for some really amazing speakers. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I am getting feedback from your side, Martha, I
Feedback?
believe, or maybe it's on my side. Nope, got it. It was on my side. I apologize.
No worries.
Uh, so hopefully y'all weren't hearing that. Um, I hope that this will be a useful, helpful, inspirational set of talks for you for today. Give us a hello. Let us know that you're out there. Give us some talk. Chat with us. Let us know how we're doing. And I want to welcome my dear friend, longtime friend, Martha Dubois, to the stage. Welcome, Martha. I am so happy to have you here.
I am super excited to be here, Haley. Thank you so very much. I mean, you bring this talk on several times a year, and more individuals should really get involved and use this platform. Haley is one of these very generous business individuals that I've met in my lifetime. So I definitely appreciate you, Haley. Thank you so much. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. We have some time, so get comfortable with me. My name is Martha Dubois. I am a personal development strategist. And basically, I help women entrepreneurs such as yourself answer the question, what's next for me? I mean, we have all been to that fork in the road, right? That crosswalk, if you will, and thinking, what do I do from here? Where do I go from here? Right? And if you have, go ahead and put me in the chat. Let me see that you're with me and you're engaged, because this is one of those conversations. I like to walk the talk, if you will. So when you get to that crossroad, right, that fork in the road, sometimes it's because you're either starting a new relationship or getting out of one. Sometimes it's either because you've hit that ceiling at work, right? So you've maxed out on your maybe income, maybe your position. You've reached the highest position, and you want to do something different, something else. Maybe you don't want to do anything different. You just want to do it somewhere else. So what is next for me? And that is the question, right? Or perhaps you had a full house and now it's down to one. What do you do with all that space and time where you used to pour into others? And that's a huge one. So the question, what's next, must be answered. And it may be several times throughout your lifetime that you're asking that question, because you're going to you're going to come to that fork of the road more than once. Okay. All right. And today is very important to answer that question for yourself, because we're going to talk about boundaries. Yes, boundaries. And it's a huge topic. It's a huge topic. So buckle up because we are about to go on a ride. But first, I wanted to kind of identify what boundaries are. And there are several different boundaries. But let's talk about why set boundaries to begin with. Like, first, what is boundaries? And then we're going to talk about why set one. Why is it important to set a boundary? And so, just as I talked about what's next for me, that question, right? Boundaries come into play. Boundaries come into play everywhere you are. Okay, understand that. And so when I see words on social media that say just say no, or no is a full sentence, I respectfully disagree. And let me tell you why. The reason why just say no is not enough is because that's right, point the finger at you don't know what you're saying no to most of the time. Okay, that's number one. And the second part is, a lot of times when we say just the word no, we start to feel guilty, because now we're thinking, oh my goodness, I just said no. And, I'm not really doing anything, or I'm not doing anything too important. I just wanted to say no. Well, that doesn't work either, because then you start feeling that guilt. It doesn't work for you. When you say no, and you can take, if you're taking notes, drop that in the link or write it down in your journal, wherever it is that you're taking notes. When you say no, be sure that you are saying yes to yourself every single time. Again, when you say no to somebody else, be sure that you are saying yes to yourself every single time. When you say yes to yourself, whether, let me just share a quick story. I had a client who, we were on the phone, and she said, well, Mirtha, I need to wash my hair, but I can't do that because I promised someone I was going to do whatever, whatever. So I said to her, I said, so you're telling me that you will put off your self-care or self-love, if you will, because somebody else's need is more than yours. Now, if you're hearing this, you know it doesn't sound right, right? It just doesn't sound right. So boundaries is absolutely a self-help, self-care, and self-love opportunity for you. So when you say no to someone else and you say yes to yourself, you are self-loving and self-caring. Repeat that if you have to. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. When I say no to someone else and I'm saying yes to myself, I'm saying I love me and I care for me. Okay? Write that down. Very important. The other reason why boundaries are important is because it creates a clear guideline, not so much a rule. Because, and the reason why I say not so much a rule is because boundaries can change over time. Boundaries are like priorities. It can change over time depending on where you are in your lifetime. Remember that what next, right? What's next for me? So where you are in your lifetime in that moment, and you're asking yourself the question, what's next for me? Your boundaries may change over time. So when you create boundaries, you're setting clear guideline, okay, of how you want to be treated in the moment. Clear. Like between the hours, it's just like, so for example, there are some individuals who work 9 to 5. During the 9 to 5, your employer may say, well, we don't want you using a cell phone at work. So what do you tell your friends and families? Don't call me between the hours of 9 to 5. So why can you set boundaries for somebody else, but you can't set it for yourself? So if you are self-employed, women entrepreneurs, right? And I call my sister sisterpreneur. So it's the same thing. If you are self-employed, if you are a business owner, if you got a side hustle, you need to tell people in your circle what's important for you. Do not call me between the hours of 9 to 1 or 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. or between whatever that is. You have to be clear and you have to be very specific. Okay? Boundaries allow you to safely express a timeline of mutual respect. And guess what? It also helps identify your needs, yours, because we're talking about you. It helps identify your needs in the moment. For example, if I have a 9 o'clock appointment with a client or potential client, maybe a potential client, not even a client, a potential, but yet you call me at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock and say, hey, Mirtha, I need you to drop me off at the airport. I may say no. And the reason why I'm going to say no is, one, I got to take into account there's going to be traffic. Two, I got to take into account, I have on my calendar, I have a scheduled appointment that I personally don't want to be late for. Okay? So my need is to in that moment, in that example, my need is my potential customer, but how I come across to my potential customer slash client. Does that make sense? So if I'm late for the first appointment, that's a bad feeling in their mouth as well as mine, especially if I am one of those individuals who really believes in showing up for my clients slash customers. So I don't want to be late. Understand that. And then lastly, I want you to understand that setting boundaries is important because it works in all relationships, whether it's, within your family, whether it's at work, whether it's a professional setting and you have a partner, if you will, or a team of individuals, if you will. You got to set those boundaries. Now, let me go into the different types of boundaries real quickly. So you have personal boundaries, which is that line that you draw to maintain harmony and protect us, right? Protect the whole of you. Those are personal boundaries. I don't want you coming in and messing with my mind. I don't want you coming in and messing with my emotions. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Then you have physical boundaries, which are things that are visible. Like you're in my space. You're too close to me, right? Your body or something that you own is too close of mine. So for example, if you are sharing a home with someone and perhaps you have some medication or some special diet and you don't want people just putting their hands in there, that's a physical boundary. So you need to set those expectations so that people are aware, right? And for those of us who kind of loses it sometimes, people need to understand that if you cross this, these are the consequences. And you got to be clear about those consequences. And just say no, just to say no is not a full sentence. So when you say no, let people understand that there are consequences that go with that no. It's not just say no and then you're gonna do me some kind of way and everything's gonna go back to normal. I have a second testimony for you. I had a young lady client who says, well, Mirtha, I became a minister and none of my family members want to call me pastor. So my question to her is, what do they call you? She said, by my first name. I said, do you answer? She said, yes. I said, but you're confusing them and you clearly don't know what boundaries you are setting for yourself and for others. Listen, boundaries is a way to help others treat you the way you want to be treated. So it has to be clear. It has to be clear. It's got to be specific. Because if people don't know how to treat you, they're going to continue to treat you the way that you don't prefer. And if that happens, you're going to continue to start to feel some kind of way. And it may even set you back a little bit. So promise yourself today that you will set clear boundaries. You will set clear expectations, which means that it comes with consequences. So, and then you'll have that conversation with the people who are in your circle and need to know. The other boundary is mental boundary, of course. When you have an opinion and somebody says, well, your opinion doesn't matter, that's a problem, right? So that matters. Emotional boundaries is another one. And it's about your feelings. If you feel some type of way, no one should tell you, don't feel like this. Okay? And then the last boundary type that I'll go through is spiritual boundaries, which is whoever you believe in. No one should tell you, oh, don't believe this, believe this. Now, people can share and exchange information, can share and exchange some an experience maybe, but to tell you point blank, don't do this and do this is definitely outside of their boundaries and definitely outside of your boundaries as well. So real quickly, just to wrap it up, we talked about types of boundaries. We talked about personal boundaries, physical boundaries, mental boundaries, emotional boundaries, and spiritual boundaries. And there are also something called financial boundaries. is the next one. Don't let someone tell you how you should spend your money. If you want to splurge and have a grand old party and spend your hard-earned money, that's on you. And if someone asks you for a loan and you say no, they should not be upset because that's your money. Okay, so those are some of the things that I'd like for you to walk away with today as far as boundaries are concerned. But the last thing that I'd like to do is basically set up a little exercise, if you will. I'd like for you to draw a circle, a small one, right? A small circle. I don't know if you can see. Oh, there we go. All right. So draw a small circle. The one in the middle right here. Just a small circle right here. This one. Ooh, this one right here. Just a small circle. And in that small circle, put inside that small circle people that I'm going to write that because I want to make sure. So those are the small, whoever's in that small circle are the people closest to you. So those individuals who are closest to you, I need you to put them in that small circle and then ask yourself, should they be in that small circle? Are they treating me the way that I want to be treated? Are they following the boundary guidelines that I have set? Or should those individuals, you need to set an appointment with them so you can discuss your boundaries, expectation, as well as what? The consequences. That's right. That small circle are the people who are closest to you. Then draw another circle right around it. And those are for the people who should be close to you because they are respecting your wishes. They are respecting your boundaries. They are following your guidelines, but yet you keep them at a distance. Why? Ask yourself that question. That's not for me to answer. It's for you. Why you keep them at a distance if they're giving you what you need and what you deserve? Okay. And then the other thing, again, is to make sure that you are having the same conversation. Remember, boundaries can change over time. Same conversation with both the small circle and the circle around it. I wouldn't go into the other two because, running out of time, but definitely want to start those two circles with you today. Start that today. Put the names of the individuals that you need to have a conversation with. But first, you need to identify what your boundaries are, the expectations, the consequences, and then you need to set a time to have a conversation with the people in those two circles, right? Whether you're going to move them back or bring them forward. And that is all I have for you today. My name is Mirtha Dubois, once again, personal development strategist. And yes, the question of what's next for me should always be asked. And if you need me, you can reach out to me.
I love these so much, Martha. I've always loved your message, and boundary setting is and can be such a hard thing, especially when it comes to family members and those closest to you.
Yes, it can be.
That's always my hardest. I don't have a problem with, people that are a little bit further out in the circle, but man, family members can be a whole other ball of wine.
Yeah. And it's more like a lot of times is because, we grow up in such a way, and as we start to know a little bit better and we want to operate better, then it makes it tough because people know you as who you used to be, now who you are, now who you are becoming. Hence the story with the young lady that became a pastor and no one wanted to address her as such. So yeah, it can be difficult.
Awesome. I love it. And thank you for sharing this super important message. How does somebody find you or get in touch with you?
You can reach me. Actually, I'm going to give you my, what is it? The calendar, HTTPS, / creating purposeful resilience .as.me and schedule an appointment and we'll talk.
There you go. That's awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. This has
Thank
been
you. Thank
an
you.
awesome talk and an awesome reminder. I appreciate you.
Appreciate
Everybody,
you.
let's give Martha a huge round of applause and thank you.
Woo.
And some awesome, amazing reminders. Thank you so much. I love you so much. Thank you, Martha.
Love you back. All right. Bye-bye, everyone, for
And
now.
bye-bye, Martha. And by the power
Thank
of
you.
technology, I'm going to switch to our next amazing, super talented megastar speaker, Carolyn Pistone. Welcome.
Thank you, Haley. And thank you, Martha. Oh my goodness. I had to stop everything else I was doing and start taking notes. And I was feverishly nodding my head and saying, oh my goodness, I wish I'd talked to you 10 years ago.
Right?
Or 50 years ago when I really think about it.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carolyn Pistone, and the title of my talk is Collaboration is the New Competition. My company is Clear Blue Commercial, and we run a commercial real estate company that is a certified woman-owned business, a certified green business, a certified small business, and a B Corp. And I'm not trying to sell you real estate or talk to you about that today, but we have a values-centered business. It is also a 7-figure business that I built from scratch with no money and no credit. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm really saying that because what I have learned is less than 5% of the women-owned businesses in the entire country ever reach the 7-figure mark. So I think it's noteworthy. I am not terribly comfortable being defined by a dollar figure. And any of you who know me or have heard me speak before, you know that I believe that money isn't even a real thing. However, I thought that this accomplishment was worth noting. As I've started to speak and live my values, I recently spoke at a workshop put on by the brilliant Katarina Rando. And I love a microphone. I'm thrilled when anybody asks me to speak about anything. But when I went and I looked at how she had packaged my talk, I discovered my talk was labeled Lessons from a 7-Figure Phenom. And I was completely intimidated by this title. Number one, because I'm uncomfortable being defined by a dollar figure. And number two, I really had no sense of how I got there. Because I had never focused on the money. I had only focused on the values. I was at a World Changing Women's Summit a while back where we were talking about our businesses. And I was very vulnerable and candid and said, you know, less than 3 years ago, I was absolutely 90 days past my very last dollar, both personally and in the business. And in order to land a contract, I was tearing apart my couch cushions looking for change so that I could put gas in the car to get to the meeting to make the presentation. That's how desperate it was. And less than 3 years later, I had a 7-figure business. I was able to hire 10 more people and in good paying jobs and let them do their best work. And one of the women at the table said, well, to what do you attribute your massive success? And I was very proud and said, you know, I think it has to do with never wavering from my mission, vision, and values. But upon thinking about it later, I also attribute the fact that I was 90 days past my very last dollar to the exact same thing. So I don't want you all to think that if you just stick with your values and your mission, you're going to make $1 million. However, you'll be infinitely richer for it. I used to give a workshop when I was doing team building exercises and this sort of thing, where I would give out to the group a sheet of paper that had 100 values on it. Things like sustainability and family and love and generosity and intelligence and all these and curiosity, all these types of things. And I'd hand these out to the group. The first thing I would say is if there's a value on here that's important to you, that is not on here, feel free to write it in. Two things would happen. First of all, everybody would be very concerned about doing it right. Because I would say, circle your top 5, the 5 that resonate with you the most. And people would get really, really, do we have to put our name on these? Do we have to, and I would assure everybody, first of all, that was just an indication of how uncomfortable people are in a business setting talking about their values. The first thing I would say is, genocide and pedophilia and pollution are not on this list. There is nothing bad on this list. There are no wrong answers. And I would make sure that it was short enough that I wasn't giving people a lot of time to think about it. Because I've done the exercise myself many times, and you can do it 2 times in the same day. You might circle different things depending on what's happening with you. It's just a temperature check for what's important to you right now. And then inevitably I would get the question every single time, do you mean our values at work, or do you mean just our values in general? And this stumped me, because your values are your values. And if your values are different at work than they are in your personal life, then I would like to suggest maybe you're working in the wrong place. Or if you have your own business, maybe you're working on the wrong things. So then we would come together. I would collect the sheets, and I'd give them like 3 minutes. I'd collect the sheets and then tally up what are the top 5 for the group. What are the 5 that we all have in common? And then I would write them out and post them and say, okay, this is just an indication of these are the values that we share. These are the values that we can all agree that we have in common, and that we as a group are going to keep these values at the forefront of our minds whenever we're dealing with each other, whenever we're interacting at work, and also when it's a touchstone that we measure against whenever we're doing any kind of planning or goal setting or looking at what we want to do next. Let's make sure that we are adhering to our values. Then once we did that, we would do some vision and mission statements, incorporating those values into, okay, why do we come to work at all? And inevitably people will say, well, I need to pay my bills, and which is true. We all need to pay our bills and feed our families, and we all have a lot of obligations, and working for money is the way this society makes that happen. However, I know in my company, I didn't round all these people up with a gun and tell them they had to work here. People have choices. So I look at, okay, why did you come to work here? What is valuable to you here? So we look at the why of the individual employees and the why, and then look at the why of the company. Once we've measured that, then we can create a mission statement that we then really live by. We didn't hire a PR company to come in and write our mission statement. We are creating this as a group. And in my company, as I'm sure in many of yours, we don't make a product. We're not selling widgets. We provide a service. Therefore, the service that we provide is our people. So for me as a business owner, my most important clients are my employees, because they're the ones that are providing service to our company's clients. So by doing that and having that together, we create it gives everybody a stake in what's going on in the company. We also have, I started an open door policy from the very beginning. I made sure that everybody in the company, and it's a small company, so it was easy to do. It's more challenging as we scale, but we're figuring it out. I made sure that everybody knew what everybody else was doing. And because a portion of our company is sales-based, there are people that work on commissions. And when I was an employee at other companies, I thought it was inherently bad business to have every salesperson at every desk competing with every other person. It's bad for business. It's bad for morale. It's bad for the clients. Ultimately, it's not the kind of culture I wanted to create. So we had this open door policy. I was sitting in my office with 2 employees, and we had a particularly challenging, the client themselves was not challenging, but solving their challenge was challenging. And we were talking back and forth. And in the meantime, one of our maintenance engineers was standing in the doorway waiting to ask a question or tell us something. But he was quiet and he was listening. And there was a pause in the action. And all of a sudden he said, well, what you should really do is have that client purchase both of these properties. And on the one hand, being the real estate broker, I was pretty embarrassed that I didn't think of that solution, because it was absolutely the right solution. But as a business owner, I was so proud that I had created an environment where, first of all, this person who had a plunger in his hand at the time understood enough about what we were doing and felt valued enough to speak up, that he was able to do that. So the open door policy, living the values. The other thing that we do in our company, and I don't want to get too granular, but we, first of all, provide unlimited paid time off to all our employees for any reason. The reason that we do this is because we're humans, and humans deserve work-life balance. And we understand things come up, especially when the bulk of your people are working mothers. I find that no one has ever abused it, and we get so much value from that. The other thing that we do is we take a percentage of our gross revenue every year and divide it evenly across everybody in the company. So what that does is whether you're a guy with a plunger standing in the doorway, or whether you're a top producing salesperson, everybody has a stake in everybody else's success, and everybody gets to celebrate the success of the company. Back to the 7-figure phenom talk. I was absolutely, completely intimidated by that title. What I discovered when I began giving my talk is that I actually know what I'm talking about. And I actually do have tips to share that I learned the hard way, frankly. The main tip that I want to give you is that collaboration is the new competition. So much of our male-dominated capitalist society is built on the idea that there's a zero-sum game, meaning if I win, you have to lose. That's the only way I am going to be successful. And I am of the opinion that we have to all lift all of each other up together. I was shocked when I started my company, as I said, with no money and no credit and 2 or 3 employees. I was shocked that there were much, much larger, seemingly more successful companies that perceived our company as a threat and were actively trying to put us out of business. On the one hand, this is incredibly flattering that little old me could be a threat to anybody. On the other hand, it was incredibly short-sighted on their part that they were looking at somebody else's success as some sort of existential threat to them. What we have been able to do through all of our certifications, and there are many ways to solve this problem. This is just the way we've solved it. We have been able to go after large corporate contracts and government contracts, which is how we got into 7 figures, because there is usually a target spend for companies with our certifications. What we can do is partner with much bigger corporations that are going after similar types of contracts, because they can't go after them because they can't get those set aside target credits. We need their help because they have a much greater depth of resources than we do. And by collaborating, that gives us the opportunity to go after contracts that neither one of us could have gone after before. The other thing is, with our mission and values, is we have looked for ways to green every property we touch. We have done, during the drought here in California, we managed a huge office complex that had 65,000 square feet of lawn. And I would drive in the morning and see all the sprinklers just spraying off into the gutters and running down the storm drains. And you can't even eat your lawn. And it's a non-native plant. So what I thought we could do is, let's go ahead and do a turf conversion. We'll take out the lawn and the sprinklers. We'll put in a drip system and mulch and compost, and we'll put in some colorful, native, drought-tolerant plantings that would attract pollinators, and etc. I asked the landscaping company to give us a bid, and the bid came back at $250,000, which would pay for itself in water savings in 32 years. The property was owned by a big real estate investment trust out of the East Coast. And I knew this would be a non-starter for them. So we partnered with a local nonprofit, with the local water agency, with the city's program, because the city was was basically telling people to turn off their sprinklers. We got 150 volunteers. We hired some people to do massages. We hired 3 bands. We got people to donate snacks. And we got 150 volunteers. We went back to the landscape company so that they would do the prep work. And in addition, they donated a front loader and an operator for the day. It was supposed to take 3 weeks and cost $250,000. It ended up taking 6 hours and was $70,000, which was significantly less than the total landscaping budget for that property anyway. So they saved money on that. Plus, they continued to save money on mow and blow. We saved greenhouse gas emissions with the mower, the blower, the truck that brings the mower and the blower. We also saved water, and and as it happened, we made a video. So when I submitted the receipts, I started to get some questions, understandably so, from the client about why are we paying for massages on our landscaping budget, and who is the Bad Apple String Band, and why did we pay them out of our landscaping budget? And I was able to send them this fantastic, uplifting video. What that did was it made, first of all, they got it. As soon as they got the video, they got it. They loved it. As it happened, they showed it at their shareholders meeting, their annual shareholders meeting. They showed our little video of us, with shovels and rakes. What it did is it took what had been just a line item on somebody's spreadsheet and made it into something that investors from all over the country, in some cases all over the world, could feel really good about what they had contributed to. So this was a collaboration. It didn't cost us any money. It didn't make us any money either. But then I am a 7-figure phenom. So things like this, it also furthered our mission. It brought the community together. That project alone is saving over 1.6 million gallons of water a year. We had another project where we were able to put a 100,000 square foot solar array on a building that we are managing as a subcontractor for the state. We did that with no out of pocket from our client, from the state, from us, or from the landlord. So we were able to just provide cleaner, cheaper energy immediately. So I like to say, if you're a taxpayer in the state of California, you are welcome. All of this comes back to living your mission, living your values, and looking for opportunities to collaborate with people who aren't necessarily in the same business as you are, but have the same mission. There are all kinds of people doing amazing things, as you're learning today. Once again, thank you, Mirtha. And thank you, Haley. There are so many ways to collaborate to bring us all up.
That is amazing. Thank you. Thank you. This is really inspirational, because I think a lot of times people think that in order to make money, you have to have a ton of money to start, and then you can't get super creative. And the main impediment standing between me and success is money. And I actually grew my group organically without a budget, because that was my life situation at the time. Mm-hmm. And I continue to grow it. It pays for itself. So absolutely, I see it over and over again. People are like, I don't have money, so therefore I can't make money. And I'm like, maybe not.
You can always make money. You can always make money, especially because it's not even a real thing. I am the same person with the same value to bring, regardless of whether I'm bringing money to the table.
Darn straight. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. How does somebody get in touch with you?
I am Carolyn, CAROLYN, at clearbluecommercial.com. You can also visit our company website, which is clearbluecommercial.com.
Putting that in the chat. Awesome. Thank you so much for being a speaker today. I really appreciate you. And I honestly hope that everybody will give Carolyn a huge round of applause. And hopefully this has piqued some kind of interest in your brain for being creative and finding collaborations. Thank you, Carolyn.
You bet. You're my hero, Haley. Thank you for doing this.
Likewise. Thank you. And with that, thank you. I'm going to switch speakers. Welcome, Mary Beth Thacker. So happy to have you here.
Oh, so happy to be here. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear. I'm going to go ahead and give you the stage if that's okay.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you, Haley. And hey, Carolyn just did an awesome presentation, and Mirtha as well. What I'm here to talk to you about today a little bit is how to have a better relationship with money. So that was a great transition from Carolyn's speech. Thank you so much for asking me to be here. My name is Melissa Beth Thacker, and I am incredibly passionate about empowering women and their families to have a better relationship with money and financial security. What I thought I'd start today with is to give a personal money history overview, the 360 view. I grew up with a paternal grandfather that every time he saw me, he did this with my cousin as well, and said, Bethy, get your education. It's the only thing they can't steal from you. It will give you an edge. Who are they? I used to think. The sad and ironic result is that my grandfather did end up with dementia, and they stole his education, which helped form me. Even though he'd only had an 8th grade education, he learned to plan well financially for my grandmother and himself. They were never a burden to their families, and they even left a small inheritance to their 2 children and 8 grandchildren after my grandmother passed away at 94 years old and living in a facility for over 10 years. They had done well with their money. On the other side, though, my maternal grandparents ran a bar restaurant that I started working at the age of 13. They lived above the restaurant, and every morning my grandfather would come down, pour himself a draft beer, and sit at the end of the bar and read the newspaper until it was time to cook for lunch. He would cook through lunchtime, and then afterwards he'd sit back down at the end of the bar, and the bookies would start coming in through. Interestingly enough, I learned how to bet on the horses at the age of 9. And later became the marketing director of the first Greyhound track to open in Texas. But those grandparents ended up living on my mom's property in a mobile home, and my mom became my grandfather's caregiver after my grandmother passed away. You may wonder why this is important. In America today, the average American makes approximately 6 to 10 financial decisions every day. Those decisions can be as simple as buying a cup of coffee to as complex of what should I do with my 401k? I think what is most important about that is those decisions are completely unguided. Right now, personal finance is not taught in high schools, colleges, or graduate programs across the United States. Most people typically learn about personal finance from talking to their parents or their grandparents, who typically didn't have any formal financial education as well. Most people simply learn about it through trial and error. Money is such an important thing and it affects us all, but we typically learn about it through trial and error. Think about it. I bet 80% of the people that see this will have had some kind of issue with credit card debt in their lifetime. I did. Even though I'm a financial advisor, before I became a financial advisor, I went through a period where I came out of college with a master's degree and $40,000 in debt. That took quite a while to pay down. Money is the number one thing young people worry about. Worse, 76% of the country feel out of control when it comes to money. Think about your 4 best friends. 3 of them feel out of control with money. 63% of the country is living paycheck to paycheck. More than 50% of the country is not quite sure how they're going to pay their bills next month. This is staggering. Think about the stress that this creates for all those individuals and those families. Even though a 2022 study estimated that Americans will need $1.25 million to retire comfortably, the average American retirement savings was only $86,869 in 2022. Nearly 60% of Americans have no retirement savings at all. Think about some of the indoctrination regarding money that you have learned over the years. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money can't buy you happiness. You either master money, or on some level, money masters you. Lack of money is the root of all evil. If wealth was the inevitable result of hard work and enterprise, every woman in Africa would be a millionaire. Most Americans do not understand that good financial planning outlines that 60% of your income should be spent on fixed living expenses. Now, that's the manual toothbrush, not the electric one. 40% should go towards discretionary. Now, that's the electric toothbrush. And that 20% should go towards your savings. If a 25-year-old today starts saving $381 per month, they could be a millionaire by the time they reach 65. But if you wait until you're 35, that amount now needs to be $920 per month. If you wait until 45, $1,920 per month needs to be saved to make you a millionaire by the time you're 65. And if you wait till 55, you need to save $5,778 per month invested in the market to be able to be a millionaire by the time you're 65. Many people don't even make that much money in a month's time. Think of a 22-year-old coming out of college today and starting a job for, say, $35,000 per year. That will net her only $2,300 per month. If she were to save 20%, that would be $460 per month, much more than the $381 you need to save. But that would only leave her $1,840 to live on. If she settled in a large city, that wouldn't even cover rent. While they can't even pay their bills, they definitely aren't thinking about retirement savings when they come out of college. We need to be teaching our youth today the 5 money principles to live on. You need to follow a budget, live beneath your means, be debt-free, pay credit cards in full, have an emergency savings account. Emergencies happen. You're going to need money for the unexpected. Most importantly, negotiate your salary. Your voice is the loudest. Many young people come out of college and they accept what they're earning and they can go for a number of years without a raise. They don't understand that they've got to ask and ask. The more times you ask, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Retirement is something to think about in your 20s. The power of compounding lets you save less and end up with more. Now let's look at 3 reasons financial planning is different for women. First, let's take a minute to celebrate women. Women finally have crossed the board and are in control of 51% of the wealth today in the United States. It's still growing, but we're still faced with many financial struggles. Women still earn less than their male counterparts. Same job. They make 83 cents on the dollar compared to their male counterpart. So when they're contributing their percentage to the 401k of what the male does, their rate of return is less. So by the end of the year, they end up with $2,700 less in their 401k. Compound that over a 30-year period, and you will end up with over $300,000 less than your male counterpart, even though you both are saving the same percentage. But on another note, If you're putting all of your savings into your 401k with the thought you're going to be in a lower tax bracket when you get to retirement, many people are shocked to find when they get there that they're still in the same tax bracket and sometimes higher. Think about it. What did the US do recently? They raised their debt ceiling, right? In our current environment, what do you think is going to happen to taxes? Over COVID, the government gave individuals $2 trillion and another $484 billion in funding small business programs and healthcare provisions in the CARES Act. Second reason women's financial planning is different is because women are the caregivers 66% of the time. Maybe you take off time off of work to have a child. Maybe you only work part-time while raising your children. Maybe you take off time later in your career to help with an aging parent. There's so many scenarios that women end up working less than men. And as an example, if you took off 2 years to have a child, your retirement savings as compared to your male counterpart now is $500,000 less over that same 30-year period. Then top that off to the third reason, women live longer. The CDC shares that women live on average 5 years less or 5 years more than men. So now that you've earned less, took off 2 years for caregiving, you end up with $800,000 less saved to get you through retirement. You're going to live longer, and because women have babies and go to the doctor more, healthcare is more expensive. With healthcare being the biggest expense in retirement, and it costs more for women, and you live longer but have less, what are you going to do? What I can promise you is that if you are being proactive with your money, savings only a small part, and being intentional, especially while being guided by a good financial professional versus doing it on your own, you can reach all of your financial goals. That doesn't mean leaving it up to your husband, especially since there is a 50% divorce rate, and statistically you'll outlive him by more than 5 years. It's time to take your finances in control. Write this down. Procrastination is the enemy of wealth. Your wealth is determined by the decisions you make today. You must be intentional. Mirtha started out our talks today talking about setting boundaries. And I thought that was very, very valid because we as women will give to other people everything before we take care of ourselves. And one of the biggest ways that is in handling your finances. Carolyn, entrepreneur, 7-figure, figured it out, looked at it a different way, took control of that. That's amazing. So what are you going to do today to help strengthen your financial security and make sure you have the lifestyle that you want in retirement or even before? And that's all I have for you today. Haley?
Hey there. I was sitting here trying to find the button on my keyboard. Everybody, let's give Beth a huge thank you and a huge round of applause because this is stuff that's, I don't think, talked about enough. Like the real, honest, salary, caregiver, we live longer. We kind of like do it to ourselves almost in 1,000 different ways. From a financial planning perspective. So thank you for, helping raise awareness and educating, because I do believe that getting started earlier is
key.
Path to wealth. It is absolutely key. Thank you so much for being here today. How would somebody go about getting in touch with you? mbeththacker.nm.com is my website. And
mbeth.thacker@nm.com is my email. So feel free to reach out. We do feel like our job is to educate people about finances, and we're happy to do so any way that we can. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions at any time.
Cool. Thank you so much, because I think
Thank,
that this is just super valuable. Thank you for being a speaker today. I really appreciate you.
thank you for asking, Haley, and I love your butterflies.
Thank you. I was trying for being a little bit more upbeat today. So thank you.
Yay! Good job.
Yay, we did it.
You
Thank
did it.
you. And you've got the birds chirping in the background. I've been loving listening to the birds. So thank you so
Oh, good.
much. And everybody, let's give Beth a huge thank you for being here today. And I'm going to say thank you. And we're going to shift to our next speaker, the amazing, the indomitable, the incredible Catherine Kim Mullen. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Haley, for having me here today, and the compliments, and back at you. Because if you think that of me, triple to you. And what you're doing
Well,
this
thank
week
you.
for businesses are like, wow. Wow. Thank you for having me today. Thank you so much. I love
I'm
the
glad to
color.
have you.
Love the lipstick. You're gorgeous.
Thank
Gorgeous.
you.
So
Yeah.
I guess I'm glad you're here. You could stay if you want. You could go. You could participate. I'm pretty excited about being here. I want to thank you. I want to thank Women's Entrepreneur Network and all you entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, business people for taking your time and sharing your prime real estate today, your mind, with me. So thank you. And I guess I want to recognize before I get on the topic, because today I'm going to talk about the power of books. Okay. Energy and recharging your batteries. And I think they're very important. I hope you get something interesting from it. But I want to start acknowledging the speaker that just went on before me, because it speaks directly, it segues into my topic of books. But before I go there, for all of you people thinking it's too late, I'm 64. And I can tell you, I was fortunate enough to have the right advice, to meet the guy, David Bach, who wrote Smart Women Finish Rich, but he wrote Start Late, Finish Rich. There's so many series. I met him because a financial institution hired him to go across the country. And he has tidbits of information, and everybody says, so thank you for reminding me that how important it is, because money is only energy. We're talking about energy. Money is a tool to get what you want. We all seem to be, I would love, if you're sitting there by yourself in a room, say it loud. If you're in a bunch of people and you can't, then whisper it, but at least hear it. I love money. I love money, because money, we've been raised that money is like, ooh. So don't wonder why people are like, oh, money, filthy rich. What is filthy rich? Why a negative word attached to being rich? I wish for rich and wealth for everyone, just like you, and I thank you. And you know what? Put your money glasses on. That's what I would say. Put your money glasses on. Be comfortable with money. And everybody says put 10% away. One of the things we did with Fall in Love with Money when we did that workshop, just to compliment everything you're saying, Beth, it's so fabulous. The younger, the better. But you find 10%. People say that's fine. I remember going to a conference and sitting there and saying, again, conferences, knowledge, books, all the same thing. They all fall in the same category, growing your mind. So here you are in a conference, and this guy up front who's wealthy is telling you, put 10% of your money away. Yeah, well, if I had 10%, that's what you're hearing. Well, I don't have 10% to put away, right? No, but you know what? The next time you get your raise, the next time you get a $100 gift from your grandmother, the next time you get a birthday gift from your husband for $300, put $30 away. There's your 10%. You'd be surprised how that adds up. So thank you very much. Very valuable, Haley, that you got that person speaking on such an important topic. And now I'll come back to the topic at hand, which is still power of books. I love books. Anybody that knows me, And I'm sure Haley will be announcing something soon in her community about something that we're working on with books. But I want to show you that everything I know I learned from books. I went through a bad time and I read a book a day. So imagine the wealth of information I have. And I'll show you what I do to books. I kind of destroy them.
You kind of love them to death.
I love them to death. So if Corrine were here, my partner at Sage Navigation, she at first she would never do this to a book, never. Like, she's an editor and chief of magazines. Come on. Of course she wouldn't do it. But you know what? I challenge the author that won't come to me. You want to see what I've done to Haley's book? Doesn't look good. But you know what? The book doesn't look good. But guess what? The information in it works. I am getting results. So on that note, I want to talk about a book that I found, okay? Because it speaks directly to your topic, Haley, this week. You're doing a visibility challenge, and you're talking about the seen part. And you haven't mentioned it yet, but I got it. It's not the seen part that's so important. It's the unseen. It's the returned message, and you decide, what am I going to do next with this? Unseen. That's
absolutely.
Energy. You don't see energy, but you know what? You're trying to, what energy are you putting into those posts that Haley's teaching us to do? What energy? What energy do you have? So I want to share a book today because it's so powerful. I actually spoke to the author. It's an old book. Discover Your Spiritual Destiny. Unlock the secrets of your soul to build a better life. Kim O'Neill is from Houston, Texas. I actually phoned her. I wanted the book to somebody and I never got my book back. Now it's out of print. She doesn't have the book. I searched years for the book. I bought a used copy version. And just so you know, when you want something and you put it out, you don't know how it's going to come. I want to show you and share with you this. Anybody that knows me, I often say, sending you light and love. I got a signed copy by Kim O'Neill. Love and light. Like, I was supposed to have the book. And today I'm supposed to be here to share this information because energy is unseen. You don't see energy, but you feel it. And it's the same with the visibility challenge you're doing. You may not see it, but you're going to feel the success of it as it's coming. You're going to feel that person because the know, like, and trust. Know and like, you're going to have people like you and people don't like you. That's all okay. Know, you're going to have the knowledge, but the trust is going to come from the energy you put into things. So thank you, Haley, for visibility. And here with this, I want to speak specifically to what Kim O'Neill shares in the book. Battery recharging. So you think about batteries, it's easy, right? Take a battery, recharge the phone, plug it in, rechargeable batteries. We understand no more juice, the phone doesn't work. The computer doesn't work. We get that. Well, that's the same like us. We have batteries that we have to recharge. And they fall into, and I didn't design this. She came up with this. I'm just got the benefit of sharing it today. She has 4 different batteries she speaks to that need recharging: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. Right from the book. I'm just going to speak to them. So she says the spiritual battery. These batteries govern your energy. So what happens if your batteries aren't charged and you're trying to do a workshop? Or if you're trying to post or go live or do anything? How do you think the people are reacting to you? I don't know. What happens when somebody gets in and they're all bubbly and they'll put, like when I go in and I put my clown costume on, or I take the crystal ball and I say, I don't have to tell you what your future is going to be like. Just keep doing nothing. And I'll tell you what you're going to get. Nothing. It doesn't take a crystal ball. You know what? My energy is clear. My words are clear. And I think that's what you're teaching this week. So I think it's important that what's that energy come with? So let's talk about spiritual energy. The spiritual energy provides you the juice, and I'm reading that I took from the book. I don't want to misquote her. provides the juice
Right.
that enables you to access your soul. Okay, that's good. How am I going to know? You're going to say. We'll get to that next. What am I going to do about it if it happens? We'll get to that next. Let's get to the next battery. Mental battery.
Mm-hmm.
The mental battery is the juice that provides you the ability to think, focus, reason, and remain alert, aware. If your mental battery is low, you're going to miss things. You're going to miss the response to the post. You're going to miss that somebody just said something and wants to buy your services, and you just missed it because you can't focus. You don't get it. So let's then get to the physical battery. That's the juice to fight disease. You know, a high degree of energy to carry on your daily activities. You know, we're going to go further with it. But let's talk about emotional, because that's the danger one, which we'll speak to in a couple of minutes. But emotional is the juice for your ability to be creative. You know, how are you going to stand out? You talk visibility, and you've been telling us, how are we going to stand out? Well, it's very simple. We better be creative, right? We need to charge the emotional battery. We need to feel positive. We need to be happy. Can you imagine me getting in here and saying, I have some things to share with you. Discover your spiritual destiny. And I have more things to share with you. The principles of how interested are you in staying here with me for a few more minutes? I think I lost you. Come back. How do I know when they are drained? Okay, I just told you those. So that's great. Thank you for telling me about those 4 batteries. I know I have them. How do I know they're drained? Well, let's go. It's going to be obvious, by the way, completely obvious. And now that I say it to you, you're going to be well aware. Physical. What do you think happens physically? You get exhausted. You pick up a flu. You get a cold. But what do you do about it? No, I have to go live. I said I'd be there. No, stop. You need to rest. That's what you need to do. So if you're
Time to go to bed.
Time to go to bed. Listen to your body. Physical. Let's go to the mental. You won't be able to focus. You won't be able to understand. You'll have the best transaction in the world. You will have the best client in the world. You will have the best everything, and you'll blow it. Why? Because you're not visible. You can't understand what's going on. You don't even see a thing. So let's go to the next part, spiritual. You know, how often I love to meditate. I love to touch my soul. I listen to my intuition, and I have a whole bunch of rituals I do with it. But if my spiritual battery is low because I've just experienced grief, you know, I've lost somebody I love, I have life is happening. Well, you know what?
Right.
You won't be able to access that intuitive side, that soul part. It's drained. So
it lets you know that it's gone out to lunch for sure.
It's gone. Exactly, Haley. It's
sorry, I'm on vacation somewhere in Aruba and you're not. So,
and if you don't want to, let me show you what we'll do to you. And the emotional, well, you know what? Have you ever been somewhere? I know I have been, because I've been somewhere when I was emotionally drained. I don't even recognize myself. I'm like, I can't. Did I just say that? I was so negative. Where did that come from? Well, you know what? I have a problem. I'm emotionally drained. And we don't want to leave you with that. We want to leave you with how to recharge it. How do you recharge those batteries? So the more depleted they become, so the more of an expert you become in recognizing them, the easier it is to recharge them. So more depleted, the harder and the longer it is to replenish it. And here's the kicker. Let's say you're physically sick. You say, it's okay. I can deal with it. I'm tough. I'm strong. I do it all the time. Go take a sauna, put some Vicks on, and now go do what you have to do. I did that many a time. But you know what I didn't realize? I was taking, what happens when one battery becomes depleted? It goes to the backup battery. What is the backup battery? Now they're touching I hit my physical, they touch my spiritual, then they go and touch my mental, and then they hit me on my emotional. And the emotional battery is the scary one. It doesn't recharge itself. So let's talk about it. Physical is easy. How do you deal with it? Listen to your body, rest and relax. You know what? Get some help. But whatever you do, rest and relax. Spiritual, that's so easy. It usually takes only 24 hours. All you have to do is stop trying to touch it. Stop trying to get to your soul purpose. Stop trying to get to anything of the soul. Give it a break. It'll come back.
Mhm.
It's part of you. Mental will rest your mind. How do you do that?
Mhm.
Well, I can show you. I'm doing it right now. My mind overworking. I'm just going to bend over and get something. I purposely put my sew inside here, making a quilt. It's mindless. What do you think's happening? I can't tell you how recharged my mental battery is because I did frivolous activities that didn't take my mind. So now let's get to the last one.
I do that with needlepoint. Yep.
Oh, do you? You would need it, Haley. Really, with everything on your plate. Good for you.
Yep, I do it with needlepoint.
Well, you've got some pretty unique pieces in your house, family here. I had the benefit of being there. It's great. Emotional is the last one. And you have no ability to recharge your emotional battery. And you know what? The only way to recharge it is by participating in things that satisfy you emotionally. So it doesn't go automatic. It doesn't mean you stop something, it'll happen. You have to fulfill yourself. That's the way to do that. So I'm going to say that if you want, like, we're all entrepreneurs in here. We're all business, mostly predominantly women. And I'm going to say to you, my book of the month, because I always have a book of the month handy. I probably have about 10 books sitting in front of me, is The Energy Bus and by John Gordon. And one of the things we say in that book that they say is he talks about energy vampires. So if I said to you, there's vampires in the room, you're going to be, understand.
Oh,
vampires,
absolutely.
right? So on that note, I want to thank you so much. I'm working on the mental pillar, at Sage Navigation. And over the next 3 months, that's what I'm focused on. Feed your mind. And
Absolutely.
bring that to whatever you're doing. Not somebody else's mind that's working for them, your mind. So thank you, Haley. Thank you so much for reminding me to remain authentic and to be visible, but only visible to what I know, to who I am. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And one day,
thank you for doing this talk today.
I'm going to bring your book to show you what I've done to it. It doesn't look as bad as Think and Grow Rich, because you got to know I've been reading this book since I'm 26, right? But it still has some damage.
Well, I love it. And, I want to thank you for talking about energy today because, Martha started off our talk today talking about boundaries and, setting boundaries. And I find that energy and boundaries, are two very, very, very important things that we as women, finances, all of the things, we tend to really neglect our own boundaries and not pay attention to it. And, as you're probably more aware than most, I've been definitely dealing with the battery drain extreme scenario in the last few weeks. I have a kid who is currently in the hospital and in the hospital for psychiatric reasons. For those of y'all that don't know, we don't have enough beds in the state of North Carolina. So she has been in the emergency room a week and a half at this point, waiting for a psychiatric bed somewhere. So the phone calls, the nonstop, and it's been going on for, unfortunately, in and out of the hospital for months. And, you talk about that, like setting boundaries and the, paying attention to your energy, because one of the other things too is that there will be times where things are out of your control and you still have to mind the batteries and the energy and change your circumstances and maybe even change your environment enough to reflect those.
You know, I am aware of what you're going through. And when I was thinking about when you said, what would you speak? And I asked, well, what's your theme? What are you up to? I was very aware that I think that it's not only you. We're listening to the news, the economy. There's a lot of negativity out there. I consider that the energy vampire, right? And that's what the energy bus actually explains. And the whole thing is, you know, like the rule one in this book is drive your bus. So thank you for the opportunity to share that, because you know my big mission in life is to create wealth and connectivity for all, eliminating poverty and eliminating loneliness. So this is a way, you know, that it can be done. You can't buy this book, but you can get it used. And I remember speaking to her. I said, why would you stop publishing that book? You don't know how good that book is. Like, so she did, but I'm lucky enough to have found a copy. Thank you, Haley.
Awesome.
And
Thank you, Catherine.
we have an event happening, Feed Your Mind, which is all about the mental and not mental health, really not about psychology, psychiatry, and brain, really what you're feeding to grow. So thank you for this opportunity, and bless you
I
all.
love it. Bless you. Thank you so much for being a guest here today. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate you. Thank you. And we are about to introduce our next speaker. I want to welcome the indomitable, amazing, fantastic Katerina Rando to the stage. Thank you, Katerina, for stepping up and being available today.
You know, I'm blessing
Hello,
to be
my
with
beautiful
you.
friend.
Hello,
And do you recognize
hello.
the headband?
I do recognize the headpiece. I love it. Yay.
Awesome.
From
Yay.
our
Thank you for
amazing
being
bliss,
here.
not our Bliss adventure, our Thrive with Retreats adventure. Bing, bing, bing.
Our Thrive with Retreats adventure. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and give you the stage. Welcome, Katerina. So happy to have you here today. And I can't wait to hear what you're going to tell us about.
Thank you. Well, you know what, Haley? You invited me to come today, and I thought, well, what is really good for right now? You know what's really good for right now? For us to talk about the summer and speaking and selling and really socializing in the summer to not only grow your business, to bliss more in your business. Did you hear that, my friends? I want you to bliss more in your business. And so we're going to shine the spotlight on speaking, selling, and socializing for speaking and selling in the summer. Does that sound good? Okay, bing, bing, bing. And by the way, at the end of our time together, or actually right now, because I'm thinking of it, I am going to put in the chat, here is a link to register for my free workshop coming up on thriving with speaking and workshops. Gain Insta clients. It's free. You're invited. And hopefully you will say, oh, Katerina, I absolutely want to come to that. And there is the link for you as well. Okay, so, I didn't do that yet. Memento. Apologies. Not so good with the chat as usual. Okay. So here's what I want you to know. Nobody is ever going to buy from you until you have influence. Now, you've probably heard me say that before, but here's what I also want you to know. They also have to know that you genuinely care about them and their business. And you know what else? They have to vibe with you, especially for those of you that sell to women. Women want to feel good about doing business with you. Women want to feel good about talking to you. And we never want to have a transaction or have a vendor or buy anything from somebody that it doesn't feel good. And I'm sure you would agree. And so as a result, one of the things that is really awesome is what I like to call the girlfriend strategy for sales and for growing your business. Now, I want to be very clear. This is something I discovered one day. I was going to give a speech someplace, and I was probably running a little bit late because I got in the elevator and I said to this gal that was right there in the elevator, just the two of us, I said, my friend, can you check my hair and makeup? Does it look okay? And she said, oh, you look fine. And she was lovely and she had a big smile. And so we rode up the elevator to this conference together. And she said to me that she had never been to a women's conference before. And I said, oh, you're going to be great. And I kept my eye on her all day and I introduced her to a few people and I made sure that, she was having a good experience. And at the end of the day, we talked more and I invited her to my next workshop, my next thing. And bing, 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 she became a client. Now I share that with you because do you know that you have a huge business skill that you're probably not utilizing enough or thinking about enough? And I want to invite you to amplify that skill. And that skill is being a great girlfriend. That skill is being the kind of woman that makes sure that every woman is included in whatever's going on. That woman, you, is good at introducing people to each other, is good at saying, hey, you mentioned you need XYZ, so-and-so provides XYZ, and putting the gals together. I used to have this fear, big fear, that when I was older, I would be in my kitchen by myself with all the cats running over my Formica countertop. I'm not sure why I saw my countertop as Formica. Well, I guess because it was depresso to me and if I was an old lady. But then I realized really two important things that I know how to do. And I want to make sure that you know how to do these two things too. And that's really what we're talking about. One is, I know how to get the ladies together. We could do it in a Zoom room. We could do it in my living room. We could do it all over the place. We have a center in San Francisco. We can do it there. I know how to get the ladies together. And you know what that means? That is a huge skill for the rest of my life. And I want to make sure that you've cultivated that skill too. Now, Katerina, why are we talking about this related to business? Because summer is the time to get the ladies together, even in a Zoom room. Have a summer sip, or get them together poolside, or get them together to get together for tea or whatever it is. This is a time to amplify your socialization. And you know what else? One of the things I do a lot in July is I go to the groups that I can't usually get to virtually because my schedule, but we take a little dip in July. So go amplify, just like at Christmas time or in December, we amplify our socialization, amplify it in July because there are so many gals for you to get together. So I'm saying host your own thing and go socialize, accept all invitations, look for invitations. There's a lifetime supply. You probably have 20 Facebook notifications wanting to invite you to something right now, today, or this week, or this month, or next month. Amplify your socialization and turn up your girlfriend strategy. And really, I shouldn't even call it a strategy, your girlfriend skill. Because the more you can share your heart with other women, the more you can connect women and put them together, the more that looks good on you and it looks good on your business. And as a result, it's going to get you more clients. And the reason why I want to shine the spotlight here is this is what we would call social capital. You have a lot of social capital that you may not be utilizing. One of the things I encourage you all to do is to host your monthly Zoom thing. One thing a month, invite people to come to your thing to share your massive value. Haley does a lot of this on marketing and branding and SEO. What are you doing to always have something to invite people to. This is why I just said, hey, there's my free workshop, June 27th. Come and join me on how to gain instant clients with speaking and workshops. Always have something to invite people to that is free and easy for them to come. And you know what happens? They come, they don't really think it's going to be anything because it's free. And then you give them your massive value, and bing, 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 you're going to gain some Insta clients. But here's the other thing. The summertime is also a great time for you to ask people to re-engage with you. Hey, Sheila, Beth, Mary, haven't seen you in a while. Come to my thing. Come socialize with me. Okay, I got a great another strategy for you. Bing, bing. When I was young in my career, I, of course, and I still do today, do a lot of networking. You know what I would do? I would invite gals. This is girlfriend skill at work. I would invite gals to go where I was going. And I remember one morning I was at this networking breakfast. Too early for me. I don't do networking breakfasts anymore. I like to do the lunch, the evening. Anyway, I'm at this networking breakfast and there's 10 seats at the table. I've got one seat. There's one gal there I never met before. And the other 8 gals are all people I had personally invited to this luncheon, this breakfast networking. Now, they didn't really know each other very well. So you know what they talked about? Me. And you know what? Because they didn't know each other very well, they couldn't give the dirt or the dish. What did they do? They just raved about me. That was very nice. And you know what happened? By the time that breakfast meeting was over, bachelorette number 9, the one who didn't know me, she was very curious about me and working with me. Why? Because when people that you have invited get together, you're going to be the first thing they talk about. Invite people to go where you are going. That is both virtual and live and in person. And when you do that, 2 things happen. Like I just said, they rave about you. But the other thing that happens is they appreciate your genuine interest in them. And this is exactly what I said at the top of our time together. Yes, we have to build influence before people will buy from us. When we're selling to women, though, 2 other important things have to be present. They have to get that we genuinely care, and they have to vibe with us. And this strategy of socializing and amplifying your girlfriend skills are absolutely gold in your business. I hope you're blessing with what I'm sharing with you. If you want to put something in the chat, I would greatly appreciate seeing. Bing, bing, bing. Let me hear from you, because I want to hear and think about it. Think about how you've gotten your clients. This strategy has probably worked for you very, very well. Let's take a deep breath. Okay. So you are going to turn up your socialization, both virtual and live and in person in the summer. You are going to make sure you have a Zoom thing to invite people to. And also, this is a great time to look for speaking engagements for the rest of the year. Now, I'm going to give you a couple strategies on this right now, and also for next year. I say, hey, I'm already booking for next year. Would love to speak to your group. Now, I often teach how to get booked for speaking. I love to teach speaking. I love everything about speaking. And here's what I do when I teach a 4-week class on it. At some point, I have everybody post on Facebook something like this. I have a great talk on XYZ, whatever your topic is. I'm looking for groups of XYZ, whoever your ideal clients are, to deliver this talk to. Who can you connect me with? Now, this is something you could do right now. You could do a post on Facebook asking, or LinkedIn and Insta, asking for referrals for speaking. And one gal says to me one day, she sends me a Facebook message. She says, Katerina, I was in that class. You made me post on my page about my topic and my audience. And you know what? I got crickets. But then that was about 2 weeks. Somebody just messaged me, hey, will you come talk to my company? They're offering me $500 to go do a talk at their company. Now, I'm sharing this with you because one of the biggest challenges women have in business, super tip alert, super tip alert. One of the biggest challenges we have is managing our disappointment and our discouragement. And the truth is, this gal did her post and she did not get any action, and she got very discouraged and she got mad at me too. Here's the truth. It's not that she didn't get any action. It's that she didn't get any Insta action. And that's what I want you to recognize, is that the results of our actions are not necessarily Insta results. For example, let's say you do some reach outs on Facebook through direct messaging. And you say, hey, come to my thing. And you do 20 reach outs and you don't get any action. And you say, nothing happened. It's not that nothing happened. It's just that nothing Insta happened. So please, please, please start to manage your disappointment by recognizing another important guiding principle that I'm going to share with you right now. You ready for it? Hoping you're ready for it. Here it is. You do what works, even when it's not working. You do what works, even when it's not working. Because why? It is working. It's just not Insta working. You know, I got booked recently to be giving a talk at a event, and there was a lot of applications, and they were looking for a lot of great speakers, but it was a high level, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in. But you know what? The lady called me right away. She said, Katerina, we'd love to have you. And I said to her, because you had to send a video, I said, how come you picked me? She said, well, Katerina, I heard you speak at the beginning of the pandemic at XYZ group. You know what? There were 6 gals in that room that day on Zoom at the beginning of the pandemic, whenever it was. And after, what did I think after? Well, I didn't get any action. I did get action. It just took a while. Are you following me? So the more you can remember, do what works, even when it's not working, and be consistent with your actions that you know do work, the more you are going to massively monetize in your business. Okay, let's take a deep breath. Oh, by the way, let me put in the chat my free links, because we have got, for those of you that said, hey, Katerina, what about doing this, a lot of reach outs all at once in a short period of time, is I have a great video on my free links page called what's it called? This is my geo-targeting video. And if you go to geo-targeting video, you can get it. It's 9 minutes. It will show you how to invite a lot of people all at once to your event without having to go to their page, but it shows up in their mail, meaning their direct message chats. Now, let's take a deep breath. Here's another super tip. The way to get smiles on the screen and derrieres and chairs is personal invitations. Yes, do your promotion, do your emails, do your posts, etc., etc. Make sure you are personally inviting people to come and be with you at your thing. Okay, socialize, speak, and that will result in more sales this summer and always. Remember, be a great girlfriend. There's a lot of women that can use a great girlfriend just like you. Bing, bing, bing. And remember, you got massive value to bring. Bing, bing, bing. Thank you, Haley.
Bing, bing, bing. Thank you, Katerina. Thank you so much for being here today. And do what you need to do, even when it's not working. I love it. Thank you. Great reminder. I appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. Always blessing to be with you. Always blessing to be with Wen. And everybody, have a great summer. Thank you, Haley. Bing,
Thank
bing,
you.
bing.
You too. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, let's give Katerina a huge round of applause and a thank you and a hello and all the good things. And we are going to say goodbye to Katerina and thank you, thank you, thank you. And we are going to add our next speaker to the screen, Seema Giri. Welcome, Seema.
Hi, Haley. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here today.
Happy to be here with you today. And I cannot wait to hear your topic and where you're going to go. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the stage.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Well, I am just amazed at the lineup of speakers that we had today. And everyone said something that was related to what I was going to share with you today. My name is Seema Giri. I'm a best-selling author, speaker, and a book writing mentor and publisher. And like Haley, I help you to increase your visibility, impact, and influence, and growing your business. Starting from the first speaker who was talking about setting boundaries, and then Carolyn who's talking about values, owning knowing your worth. When the speakers that was talking about finances, these are all such important aspects that I feel as women we don't take that so seriously on ourselves. We share that with others. We give those important messages to everyone else. But when it comes to us, and I know I won't be able to see you if you raise your hand, but raise your hand or acknowledge that. How many times have you put yourself last and really been harder on yourself than on a girlfriend or anyone else in helping you with the similar ideas? I know I have. I always felt that everyone else had more value, they had more worth than me. And when it came to me, it was like, oh, it's just little old me. It's just me. And of course, that has changed over the years. But I feel when we are running our business, we feel the same way. We started the business because of possibly a passion we have or some major life traumas and life challenges that we have overcome, like I have, that we really want to help other people change their life for the better and help them get out of the pain and potentially save them 15 to 20 years of hardship in their life. And that's how I got started in running my own business. I used to have a project management consulting and training business with my husband, helping him fulfill his dream, where we really guided people on how to really monetize on their projects and how to follow the best practices, and served over 100,000 people on the project management certifications and learning how to do implementation and execution, as well as helping Fortune 500 companies do the same, set up the same framework within their company. And I feel that those same processes can be used in running our own business. So then after I had my recovery healing journey of being bedridden with 3 types of autoimmune issues, I had that need, not just a desire, but the need to share this with other women, that how self-care is so important, and managing your health and prioritizing yourself is so critical, because the main reasons for autoimmune is lifestyle, and it's not putting yourself first. And I used to think this is only used to be for the Indian women in the Indian community, but because I've traveled the globe and lived in 3 different countries, I realize this is what every woman in every country goes through. And we bring that on into our businesses. So today I want to talk to you about how I used to be a really, really shy person. And I was really afraid to put myself out there. And in one of the interviews that was being done on me, they asked a question, and I wanted to share that with you helping you step into your power and helping you become more visible so you can make that impact and earn the income that you want and build your influence in your business and really own your value, own your worth. So, one of the questions was, what are the 3 character traits that I felt was really instrumental when I was publishing my books, writing my story, getting my message out there, and becoming more visible? So number one was courage. Courage. It's so scary to put your heart out there, and it's so scary having everyone really get to know you a little bit better. I know the fear of judgment had come up for me. What will people think? What will people say? And I realized, whether you do something or you don't do something, people are going to judge you either way, right? So you might as well take those steps in doing the things that you really want to do and own that. There are moments of vulnerability that you just don't know how others will take, right? But it's about how I realized how others take those moments of vulnerability is based on how you view that vulnerability piece of it. If you own it, if you are proud of it, and you come across authentic, then people will take it based on how you want people to take it. Kim was talking about energy. It is all about the energy that we're putting out there in what we're sharing. If we have the energy of hesitant and fear, that's the energy that everyone else is going to pick up. You must have heard the saying before that, people know before you enter the room, people know that, you're coming. And it's because of that energy transformation that gets there before you do. So really step into your power of what you have gone through and what you are sharing. The next is purpose and perseverance. Remembering your why. Remembering why you are doing the business that you are doing. What has helped? What is it that you want to, impact and how you want to impact? When I had launched my first book, the Break Free series, the Break Free to Stand in Your Power, I thought everything was going as planned, but then the pandemic hit. This was in 2020. We were almost done with the writing and the production of the book, and then the pandemic hit. And I was really perplexed on what to do. Who launches a book in the middle of a global health crisis, right? Do you continue doing what you're doing? But I realized that the stories that I was sharing, it was an anthology where there's multiple authors. They were all sharing the biggest challenges that they had overcome in their life. And this was the time that everyone needed to hear even more about it. So after a lot of soul searching and putting that right energy behind the book and behind my authors, we launched the book. We remembered that the whole idea, what the purpose was of the book, was to inspire others, sharing the messages of empowerment, wisdom, and encouragement. And this really gleaned from real life stories of everyday heroes who have gone on transformational journeys. Now, I call everyday heroes of people like you and me, your neighbors, your girlfriends who've gone through a major life challenge that, we all keep to ourselves. So releasing this book during the pandemic was the ultimate act of support and that I and my co-authors could give to the world. So it really was a gift. And because my business is built on a foundation of purpose that I truly believed in, I was able to push through amidst these challenges. I had so many doubts. Am I going to be able to make it? Is it going to really make a difference? But I never lost sight of my purpose. And I was able to launch that book successfully. But during the pandemic alone, I launched 5 books and nearly helped 100 entrepreneur women and some heart-centered men to share their message, get it out into the world, and grow their business. The third trait that was really instrumental for me was adaptability and vulnerability. And I share this in my Art of Leadership book, where it becomes what it now has really become an inherent part of my life. Adaptability simply means being agile, being able to think on your feet and be flexible. This reminds me of being like water, being able to flow through any situation that comes your way, any consequences, or any life-changing event like the pandemic has happened, being able to flow through that and navigate it. When we let go of the resistance and of what we are expected to be like, things become much easier. You can become adaptable and really be able to change your business. Some of you probably may have had to really pivot during the pandemic, but the pivoting can occur at any time. Sometimes we start our business thinking it's going to be one area, but you're really called for to do something else, and it's an involvement. When I started my business, coaching business, I started with wellness coaching because I wanted to share with women self-care is so important. It's the priority that you have to put first so you can do all the things that you want. And that self-care is selfless. It's not being selfish. To evolving and helping women now share their message out into the world so people can build that know, like, trust factor, and you can build the impact and income that you want. Second is being vulnerable. It means allowing people to see who you really are, allowing people to see the human side of you. And I think Haley does this so nicely, that we really know who she is and what her heart is. And I think everyone in this WEN community is the same way. Like attracts like. So it's giving yourself that grace when you have those human moments as well. I like this quote by Brene Brown. She says that vulnerability is the courage to take a risk and put yourself out there, especially when you can't control the outcome. Humility accompanies it, and it's the strength. So remember that your human side and being vulnerable is your strength. And sharing your message in a book, I feel, is the greatest way to really build your influence, position yourself as the authority in your field, and create the income that you want. You get to monetize in so many ways that you probably wouldn't even have thought about it. The number one thing people think that they're going to have a separate stream of income, which you will, and that you sell the only way to make money is to sell the maximum amount of books. That is one strategy. But the main thing that a book does is really positions you as the go-to authority, the only logical choice in what you do. As Katerina was saying, people want to get to know you. They want to understand who you are. You have to have that know, like, trust factor. And a book can touch those people's lives that you may not even be able to get to. Or you have these different stages of people who, some are instant, yes, and some need to get to know you better, understand your voice, understand your heart, and understand how you work. Many of you may feel that I'm not a writer, I can't be an author. So I want to share with you that you don't have to be a writer to be an author. You don't even have to be a great writer to be an author, because it goes through an editing process. So next week, I'm having a workshop on write, publish, monetize with your book. And I would love to have you come and attend that. It's absolutely free. And to see that what you already have all what I'll cover is that you already have all the materials that you may need, so you won't even have to write from scratch. You'll learn how to design your book that everybody would want to read, and how to deliver it to your ideal audience, so that when people come, they're an instant yes. They know exactly what you do and what they want to work on with you, with your business. So I hope these 3 characteristic traits that I felt were helpful to me are helpful to you, and that you allow yourself to play big, be more visible, and shine your brilliance so your tribe can find you.
Awesome. Can you share the link?
Yes. You can go to uplift.media. That's www.uplift.media. And you can look under events, and you'll have the information there.
Putting that in the chat. So thank you so much for sharing this. I think that, I think a lot of times people think that being an author is so much harder than it actually is. And when you pair up and you partner with an amazing editor and publishing group, it really becomes easy by comparison.
It is. And yeah, it's about accountability and being in the right group, right? And time is of the essence that I think we don't really get back. So I found it so much easier, Haley, like I'm sure you do too, that when you have the mentor and a group with like-minded people with a similar mission and values, you can get there much faster and easier.
Yeah. Susan Gutierrez asks, do you always need an editor?
Yes. Unless you're really great
so.
yourself, even if you are, it's good to have another set of eyes look at your work. Because
Absolutely.
There's so many things. I mean, there's so many blind spots, right? Even when that's why we get coaching, because we have our own blind spots that we don't see. So it's always good to, don't write a book without an editor.
Yeah. I really think that, to me, an editor is kind of a necessary part of the process. And, they may be adding content or editing content, you get to decide what that exact relationship is, but it's a vitally important part of the process to putting out a high quality publication.
Exactly. If you're going to take the time and effort to write a book, you need to go the full 9 yards of having the whole back end team be there for you so you can produce a good quality work. Because when people read, and if that's the first introduction to you, that's first impression.
Absolutely. That is absolutely it. And if that's a key part of your funnel, which for many of us it is, it's the first impression that people have of you. So make it a good one.
Exactly. Yeah. And things online might change and might not be seen, but book it's on the shelf for a really long time. And it's, Haley, you're also leaving your legacy, right? When you're writing a book, it's not just a funnel to grow your business. You're putting your best ideas out there. You're going to be sharing it with people who can take immediate actions to get some, increased to help their lives become better. And then it's a legacy that you have for, through your business, for your business and your family. So you want to put the best version of yourself out there. Don't play small. It's not that much more expensive also.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely not. I love it so much. Thank you for being a speaker today. And this has been such a wonderful message. And y'all check out all of the amazing workshops from all the amazing speakers. Thank you, Seema, for being here today, y'all. Let's give her a huge round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Haley. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Y'all have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Many blessings. See you later. Thank you.